In this video I'm gonna show you how to actually clean and prepare a CPU for a transplant. So let's roll the intro and come back to our CPU. Alright, so here we can see the CPU that was removed from a board and it needs to be transplanted to another board. There is not a lot of, the way I used to remove it, there is not a lot of underfill on it, but still this needs to be cleaned. So I've seen like many technicians doing different techniques, approaching different angles to cleaning this. I'm gonna try to clean it using my method here. I think this is a method that prevents the heat stress on the CPU, so the maximum temp that I'm gonna apply to this CPU during this cleaning process is gonna be like I don't know, like 170 degrees. So this is still the original solder that you see here on the board. It's still the solder that was left of it when I have removed it from the original board. So just I don't replace this solder yet. I'm gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna set the hot air to 170 degrees. I don't know why it changed. So the hot air station is set to 170. I'm gonna start slowly heating the CPU. I'm gonna heat it all over. It's gonna take a while because the temp is actually low. And with a tweezer, I don't need a very sharp one. I'm using a tool 3D, but you see that the tips of the tweezers are almost like blunt, you know. And I'm gently scraping off the glue. I'm not pressing on the CPU, you see, and it's gently coming off. I'm going with the tweezers between all the rows, and see, that one is gone, this one here is gone. Gently, do not press on the CPU, just scrape off this glue. Okay, so all the I don't know what I pressed, but all the images need to be vertically flipped. Alright, so I think it's better now. Remember, I have 170 degrees, as you see there. You can see my hot air station on the middle right area of the screen. And I'm just gently removing this without pressing on the CPU with the tweezers. This is good. Good. The CPU is dry, so there is no flux on it, nothing, and this is the easiest way to remove this. I'm gonna rotate it like this. Okay, you can still see it. I'm also staying quite far away with the heat gun. You barely can see it in the picture under the microscope. The balls are actually not even, so it is a bit difficult. You don't want to force the tweezers between the balls so we don't rip the pads on the CPU. I think it's okay. Usually I come closer, I zoom in the image, but I want you to see what's going on, so I'm leaving it like it is now for the moment. This is an iPhone 13 Pro CPU, but I use this technique for every CPU. Well, not the iPhone 7 one, for example, which has a completely different glue under it, but for all other newer models this method works just fine. And I've never damaged the CPU. When I first started it, I bought like a, I don't know, I think it was called a hot stone. So it was a device that you plugged it to the outlet, and it had a place where you put the CPU and it was constantly heating it up. I don't know, I think at 200 degrees, 220, something like that. But it didn't work very well for me. I had moments when the CPU got broken. I think it was really too hot. So using that method I was putting like some low melt solder and using a toothpick to clean it. But as I said, I didn't have good results with that method. This method I use for a year now, I think, and it is indeed flawless. Never had problems, never damaged the CPU. It has always worked, and you see the air is actually blowing out this gunk, so the CPU remains perfectly clean. Also clean it from the sides. There was a bit of flux here on this side because you see it's sticking. Right, so I guess this is it. As you can see, there is no more underfill, just a tiny reminiscence here and there, but this will clean up in a moment. I'm gonna show you how. I want to clean the sides for a bit. Right, so all good for now. Now what we need to do is actually remove the this high melt. I'm gonna replace this with not a low melt, with 183. I don't consider 183 a really low melt solder. It's actually leaded. Also, let's apply flux. Okay, and now I'm gonna set the iron to 280 degrees. So it's gonna run at 280. I'm gonna apply a very big blob of solder. So this is the leaded solder that I'm using, and I'm just gonna rub this ball. I'm not touching the CPU with the tip. Good. Take good care of these deep trench caps, not to touch them. So just taking the blob around and waiting for all the solder to melt. Remember, as you can see, the tip is at 280 degrees maximum. Yeah, so this is everything we needed. That looks good. Now we clean the CPU, and I'm gonna use my traditional bat. Let me switch the camera. Let me see if the CPU cooled off. I don't wanna put it while it's still hot in the IPA. This is good, perfect. And now we clean it with a brush. And to clean it very well of all the flux that's on it. It had a hefty amount of flux. You need it to be very cleaned when you apply the stencil and then use the paste. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse it again with IPA, but with clean one from this bottle here. Yeah, so it's rinsed. And now I'm just gonna dry it out using this hand air pump. Alright, so now it is perfectly dry. Give me a second, I need to clean my board holder for a second while it's still warm. Okay, and now let's go back under the microscope and see how does the CPU look like. I think it's gonna look good. Alright, and see, it is actually perfect. Let me clean these tweezers. And make sure that you can see everything. So it has small balls. This is it's the leaded 183 solder that I've used. It still had a bit of a gunk there, but it's ready to be reballed. So for reballing, I'm gonna show you this process too. I'm gonna get a clean cloth. Let me switch the camera. And I'm gonna get some 183 solder. I'm used with the mechanic solder, but you can use any flavor that you like. So this is, I think I took too much. This is quite wet, so when I reball a chip or a CPU, I need it a bit drier, so I apply it on this cloth, and then I'm gonna squeeze it like this, one side, two sides. So now it's good. It looks like this. It's quite dry. I'm gonna use this tool to spread it around the CPU. So the CPU is here, it's prepared, it's an A15, and let's reball it. This is quite easy, so I'm using this jig here Let's see where's the A15. This is the one, the first one. I hope it's clean. I usually clean them after I use them. Okay, so I need to note the orientation. This will come in the holder. This is a magnetic holder. Put it there. Put a stencil over. And let's get back to the microscope and see how it looks like. Okay, so we can see that actually the CPU needs to be a bit up for a second, so that means that it's not perfectly clean on the sides. In this area it's either the CPU or the holder, but I'm gonna come over both. Alright, let's see now. So this looks good like that. Let's see again. Okay, so this is perfect now. I can see it's quite clean everywhere. I'm gonna blow some air with the air pump on it. And let's start spreading the paste over it. Oh, it's a bit drier, but it's good. So you can come back over and over again on it because this is magnetic and the stencil does not lift because of the magnetic base. I think this is good. Okay, now we just need patience. I need a tweezer, although it's not necessarily to hold it down. I'm gonna set the hot air to 330 and 30 air, and now we just heat it up evenly. You need a lot of patience. I'm rotating it all around it, and once we see that the balls start to form, they should start forming on the left side. We then will come with the hot air. We're gonna go to the right side, but for the moment I'm heating it completely, all of it. It's gonna take a while because the CPU is quite big. The stencil needs heat, and also the holder sucks the heat, so we need to heat everything up. We're using quite a low temp, low air. Remember, the solder we use is 183, so that's that. It's not ready yet. So this is real time. You can judge by the time we spend here how much it takes to be reballed. With these magnetic stencils and holders, it's way easier to reball a CPU than using that big stencil that has all the chips on it and also the CPU. That's a bit difficult to use for a beginner, but this works fine. So you see the balls are starting to form slowly. The paste was a bit too dry for my taste. I already see some balls. I can see some balls that didn't go down, but we're gonna fix that. Also the stencil came up for some reason, I don't know why. Okay, so now we can notice here that we have some balls that are not sitting properly. I'm just moving them around. Some of them have some gunk. It can be a hair or can be anything. Some of them just got stuck on the stencil, and this is also because the as I said, sorry, I need to focus here. The paste was a bit too dry. Okay, I'm gonna now apply, there's one more here. I'm gonna now apply some flux. This is way too much, so it's perfect. And I'm gonna heat it up again. And now we try to see if this will fall into place. Especially that we have now a lot of flux. Yeah, most of them went down fine. Okay, I'm done. I think we're good. Let me try to lift off the stencil. And let's have a look here. I'm missing a ball right here, as you see. So usually I get 100% success rate with this. Well, not 100, but I don't know, maybe 9 out of 10. They just go well. This one didn't. It's no problem. It can happen. I'm gonna recover this lost ball, and I'm gonna show you how I'm placing it back. Where is it? This is the one. Okay, I'm gonna place it here on its place. Let's zoom in. Okay, and now let's try to actually solder it. I'm gonna keep the tweezer there. There was a bit of a hair under it, that's why it didn't stick, or some dirt, I don't know what was that. So there, we're good. Let's put it now on a paper towel like this. Cool. Let me bring you back in focus so you can see all the balls are there. Everything looks nice. I'm gonna use a bunch of flux. Yep. And this flux will also help when we are gonna stick it to the board, because I'm usually not applying flux to the board. I'm just using this flux here that remains on the CPU, and I'm just slowly reflowing it. You can see the left side has already reflowed. I'm not being very aggressive with the air because I don't want the flux to get off the CPU. So here we're done. We have a perfect reball, and this CPU is ready to go to the new board. Alright, so this was the video for today. Thanks for watching. Give me a like and subscribe if you like the video. Bye.